So for anyone who's been around for my channel for a bit of time now, you might recognize that about a month ago I did a video on this topic. In that video, it was more of like this is my thoughts on Fortnite after 1 month, and it's actually one of my favorite uploads, so if you haven't seen it yet, definitely go consider looking at it after this video. But in that video, I talked a lot about my experiences with the game as a beginner and just generally trying to figure the things out, like what game modes worked for me, what didn't work for me. It was kind of just a very loosely put together video. This is pretty similar. As I say, you know, the point of these videos aren't for informational as much as they're for, like, I guess just giving my opinions and kind of just talking out loud. So this is very much one of those videos again. But in this video, I'm going to be shifting gears a bit. Today I'm going to be talking about the game modes that I've been playing the most. I'll be talking about stuff like Chapter 7, I'll be talking about 0 Hour, and I'm also going to be talking about one small change I made that completely changed the whole experience for me. So if you're interested, then definitely consider sticking around because I will be getting into that. So let's get started. So as I said in that first video, a mode that I really enjoyed, well, there were two specifically that I talked about. I talked about really enjoying both Respawn Rumble and Festival. And I said for what I enjoyed most about Respawn Rumble in retrospect was just that I loved the constant pacing of it. Like, I just loved the constant, like, pace of just eliminating people and just knocking people out and just always having something to fight and just to focus on. I liked Festival for similar reasons. As I said, I do enjoy rhythm games, so Festival just inherently worked for me. And I still enjoy the mode, but it was definitely one that clicked on for me and was definitely something that motivated me to keep staying with Fortnite. I talked about Battle Royales a little bit, but it just, I kept saying it didn't click, and I was going to keep trying it, and I actually did, and what I found, right, was I started playing Blitz Royale, and that was one I definitely did check out right around the end of October, right before Demon Rush was gone. I love that mode to death. Like, I would still be playing that if it was still around, but unfortunately it isn't. So I started Blitz because I'm like, this looks pretty decent. Like, I just wanted something that wasn't too, like, overwhelming or intense or just stressful, I guess, to me at least. And Blitz just seemed to most fulfillingly scratch that itch. It worked to a degree, it just didn't feel perfect. So I kind of sat on it. So this was kind of in this, like, transitional period where it was like I was playing Respawn Rumble, like, dominantly as my fighting mode for a while, and I'm like, okay, like, a couple weeks passed and I'm like, okay, I think I'm ready to try something new. So I'm like, okay, like, what about Blitz squads, right? Like, let me see how that feels to play. Like, it can't be that fun, right?
Oh my god. I get it.
And it was, oh my god, I had a blast. I think what did it for me at first, right, was it just felt a lot less stressful to have teammates. I just found myself feeling a lot more confident knowing that I wasn't alone, that there was other players who were on my team, I guess. It just felt a lot less, like, isolated of an experience. Like, I'd go to solos and just, I wasn't having as much fun, and it just felt a lot more overwhelming to feel just alone. Even if it was quick 5-minute games, it just still felt, like, stressful. Like, I'd play, like, a bit of solos, and I'd be like, okay, like, I think I want to go back to squads. Like, I just feel more safe there. And I gave it a bit of time, and then this right here is specifically what the problem was, and one thing I did that just completely changed everything, because I've been having such a blast now. So, I mentioned this actually in my last video, but as I said, I don't mean to make this awfully, like, trauma dumpy to a degree, but I actually have autism. This is, how do I describe it? I always say, like, the way I kind of word it to anyone is, like, it feels like when I got diagnosed with it, right, it felt like it felt like if I was sent to, like, some kind of, like, fantasy world, and someone was like, oh, here's a map, and just didn't clarify anything. Like, I was just given, like, okay, like, have fun. And it was like, okay, like, but what am I supposed to do with this information to make things work better? Like, I just didn't really get that kind of information, and it just made things easier, but also harder, if that makes sense. So what I thought of a lot was, I noticed one very common thread whenever I played Fortnite. Whenever I played specifically Battle Royale of any kind, what I would find myself wanting to do was mute the volume. Like, if I got stressed, I would shut off my volume. If I was playing on, like, my Switch or something and I had my volume off, I found myself performing so much better. So I'm thinking, right, and I'm like, okay, this is a very common loop. This correlates to things I don't like in real life. This correlates to how I don't like horror games, because I don't like being scared by stuff and, like, being startled by things, because it just overwhelms me. And I think to myself, okay, like, there has to be some kind of explanation for this. So I'm like, okay, let me try I like music. I've used that before as like a way to cope with being overwhelmed by things. So I'm like, okay, what if I turn off my volume, completely just shut it off, and use music instead? And you know, it worked so well. And I was like, I figured out my problem, and it was such a game changer for me. I still have so much fun with Fortnite. I've actually been more comfortable playing solos just because the music is like, I'm trying to think of how to describe it. It's like, I feel like for me at least, it kind of does like a lot of the sounds and stuff of Fortnite, especially with how like they kind of just come out of nowhere, can be very, very stressful to me. Having noise in the background where I know what's happening with music is a lot easier for me to process and just focus on what I'm seeing instead of what I'm hearing as well. I found too is there's that how do I word it? It's like that little sound ring, right? And it shows you where footsteps are, it shows you where the chests are, it shows you where like gunfire is, and that's probably like my favorite thing ever. I didn't find that useful at first, but now that I've kind of forced myself to learn how to use it, it's been a game changer for me. I find myself being able to focus a lot more just because I'm not focusing on what I hear, but more so what I see, and it just makes focusing everything into one specific like, I guess, sensory channel just make the game so much easier for me. And it's crazy, like I didn't realize this was the issue, and then as soon as I put like 2 and 2 together and got 4, I was like, oh my god, like this makes so much sense. And as I've been saying, I'm having a blast now with Fortnite, especially Blitz, which I'm going to get in next, just because, as I said, this topic is a bit sensitive, and I mostly just brings up as like what made it work for me, and I guess just to kind of call out to other people who may be experiencing this, like you're not alone. Like this kind of feels like a rare topic. I've never seen anyone articulate it this way in particular, so I'm just hoping that maybe getting my voice out there and explaining what made it work for me so perfectly will help hopefully someone out there at the minimum, or just give someone some resonance. But moving on now, I guess. As for the Battle Royales, those are kind of like the main thing I've been playing over the past month or so. Blitz is definitely my favorite Battle Royale. It's really fun. My favorite things of it specifically are I just like the pacing of it. I like how fast it is. I appreciate the fact that there's just always something to do. There's always some kind of like fight happening. There's always, it just doesn't feel slow or feel like it doesn't get to a point where I feel like I need to get like awfully anticipatory about what's going to happen, because there's usually something about to happen within like the next 30 seconds or so. Like there's always something, if that makes sense. What else I really enjoy about Blitz, just gameplay more so than that, is I love the weapon pool. Like it's so much fun that like all the items in that game are just so like overpowered, and like you end up having like a full like inventory of like mythics and like exotics and stuff. That's so much freaking fun to me. I love having like such like a busted weapon pool, and like the all the healing items. It's so much fun. I love that stuff. It just makes the game feel like insanely chaotic, and I guess that like chaotic, kind of like overwhelming, but in like a controlled way, is kind of what I thrive on, especially with like Respawn Rumble or like Festival to a degree. Like I just like that's like completely like my vibe. I love that stuff so much. So that's what Blitz worked. That's why, at least for me, Blitz just works so beautifully, is because it basically is just that full like uncontrolled chaos, and it just feels nice and like casual. Like if I lose a game, it's like whatever, like next game, I don't really feel aversive to losing. Like I don't. Like, I haven't even won a Battle Royale game once. The only time I won is because I had a teammate who carried my whole team through, and I haven't won Battle Royale. I don't really care to. It's just that, like, I don't know. I've gotten a couple of solo wins in Blitz, so it feels really fun to get those, but for me, it's more so about, like, the journey than the destination, so to speak. Like, I get more excited about, like, getting a bunch of eliminations or doing something really cool. Like, that's what I get my joy from. Okay, back on track. Zero build. It's good. My favorite part of it probably is I like all the traversal stuff they give you. Like, you don't get that much in Blitz. For example, I'm thinking you get cars in Zero Build. I mean, that's really fun. You don't really get the cars in Blitz. They have the shockwave grenades in Blitz for a little while, and then like literally yesterday they just changed the Blitz pool a bit, and I don't think they have them anymore. And that was really sad to me, because I was literally just about to say how much fun I was having with the shockwave grenades in Blitz, and now they're not there. So that's really sad. But I think regular Battle Royale still has them, or I guess Zero Build technically. But Zero Build is pretty fun. I haven't played it in a hot minute, honestly. I probably will go check it out eventually, but it's pretty decent in my opinion. I like I definitely prefer Blitz pacing and just the overpowered weapon pool, but Zero Build is kind of feels more like the genuine Fortnite experience. Not that I really search or yearn for it, but just that it kind of feels fun to play like in that regard. So And I guess as for just traditional Battle Royale with the building, I haven't touched it. I have no interest. Building just seems like a lot for me to handle. Maybe one day, but it seems unlikely. It's just generally not my thing. I always play zero build. It's just what comes more naturally to me. If it's your thing, that's awesome. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's just, that's my vibe. So next, I think next up, so I guess if we're ranking these, so to speak, we'd have Blitz number 1, and then we'd have just regular Battle Royale next. I think next would probably be Reload. I thought I was going to love Reload, because it's like, you know, you have like the eliminations of like, oh, this is, you know, like, oh, it's not over yet, it's okay, it feels more casual, but I feel the opposite. I don't know, it feels more tense to have like the same loop of people like you're fighting with over and over again. It just feels like it adds more tension and like, I guess, drama to the game rather than like, oh, like I'm down, next game, you know. This feels more like, oh man, like I keep getting knocked by the same person and I keep getting back in. Sometimes I just want the game to end just because I was ready to just move on to a new game and have new people to battle with. So Reload, I thought it was gonna be good. It just wasn't my favorite, honestly. And then lastly is Delulu, and I haven't played it. No, I'm not playing it. It's not my thing at all to like be in like a voice chat like that with people, and just the overall experience. It looks really silly, but it's just not my thing at all. I've heard people say they've had really good experiences with it. I've heard people say they have really crappy experiences with it. So it seems awfully nuanced. If you have any experiences with Delulu and you would like to share them, please feel free to start a discussion in the comments, because I'd be very interested to hear what your thoughts were on it. I suppose moving on, we'll talk about Chapter 7 in 0 Hour, since that just happened a couple weeks ago, and that was really interesting. 0 Hour was great. I'm not even gonna sugarcoat it. It was so much fun. I think it was confusing, like the lore and stuff. Like I didn't really know what was happening. I mean, granted, it was presented in a very digestible manner. However, there was some stuff that was confusing. I didn't understand like the whole like, oh, we're defeating the monster with the cube thing. Like I had no clue what that cube was, what it meant. As I said, I'm still new to the lore, and I'm just not really a lore nerd with Fortnite. So maybe someone in the comments could enlighten me on what was happening there. But the collab characters, I definitely understood. That was really fun in my opinion. It just felt so silly to see like so many characters, like especially with like Huntrix and the airplane sequence, and then like the girl from Kill Bill. I'm like, what is happening? But it was so much fun. I was hysterical the whole time. It was really, really cool. Especially because I got to experience it like actually being there. I thought that was awesome. I went in with like really, really minimal spoilers too. So when I saw what actually happened and all the like all the little details I missed, it was so cool. Like I'm so happy I got to experience 0 Hour. And then next, I guess Chapter 7, since that's you know what happened right after. Chapter 7's pretty good. I will say, though, something that I've just found really funny is that, like, at least where I live, it's December, and we're having, like, peak summer stuff right now. Like, I go on Fortnite, and there's, like, a beach, and, like, you know, it's, like, it's, like, I guess more of, like California and, like, West Coast America vibes, and it's, like, what on earth? Like, it's December. Like, what's happening? But it feels funny in that regard because it's so random. I know it probably makes sense in terms of like the story and stuff, and it has nothing to do with the time of the year. It just feels really funny to me. I guess for like new gimmicks they added, I know they added some kind of like building thing where they make it easier. I haven't tried that. As I said, I'm not a 0 build player, or I'm only a 0 build player, so that hasn't had an effect on me. I guess the other things were the they added that wingsuit, right? That was pretty cool in my opinion. I think I prefer Shockwave wings just because they feel fast and they just feel like really, really fun to use when you get them right. The wingsuits are a little slow. I know you're kind of meant to like fly with them, and I understand how the physics of them work. It's just that like the pacing of them feels a bit like gimmicky and kind of weird to a degree. I don't know how to word it. Although one thing I haven't enjoyed is the self-revives. I just don't like them. I feel they add like this weird sense of friction to the game. Like, in my opinion, at least, maybe it's because I play Blitz, where everything tends to be pretty close quarters, but I feel like they just are very unreliable. Like, they add too much tension to the game or not tension, but, like, how do I word this? I guess friction's the better word. Like, I feel like you get knocked right, and then, like, usually the person's right there, so they just, you know, they either let you rot in the storm or something, or they just decide to, like, take you out. And it also adds this, like, highly unnecessary tension when you're in a top 2, and the other person has a self-revive, and they kind of, you know, they run off with it, and you kind of gotta like chase them off, and it's like, really, like, can I just knock you out, please? Like, I think, I don't know, I guess it just feels like a really, I don't know how to word it. It just feels like a false hope at like a second chance. I feel like the only time when it works is if you get like really, really lucky with managing to like get away far enough that like you could, you know, plus they heal you like really little too. Like you only get like a small amount of health back, so unless you have like a full healing item just on the spot, you're gonna get knocked out. It's just, I kind of get the mechanic, it just doesn't, I feel like it ruins the flow of the game for me, especially with like respawn rumble, because what I notice is that for whatever reason, they're in that mode. So whenever someone has a self-revive on, it gives your whole team that, like, knockdown, like, gimmick, and it just adds way too much, like, downtime to the game, since you kind of just have to wait. Like, I don't know if the bots tend to target you when you're knocked, and I feel like it just adds this really, really unnecessary friction where, like, you're kind of just sitting and just waiting for something to happen to either get knocked out or for someone to come and, like, actually shoot you. It just gets really annoying, in my opinion, and it just adds this, like, really unnecessary sense of, like, friction and, like, downtime to the game when that shouldn't be the case at all, in my opinion. But I think that's my thoughts on, like, the Chapter 7 stuff. As I say, let me know in the comments what you think. But I think I'm going to move on now to, I guess, just talking about Festival and Respawn Rumble, now that those aren't my main game modes. So I guess just to wrap up, Festival, I still play, I just don't play it as much. I still think it's really fun though. One thing I will say though is, if you remember in my first video on Fortnite, I talked about how I was playing on like a cloud gaming service and not a native computer because I just didn't have access to it. Well, now I do, and now that I have access to my actual keyboards I play with, along with no latency issues, I'm so much better than I used to be. Because as I say, I play, like, think like Osumania 4K, if you know what that is. That's kind of the rhythm game I play. So I do have those controls, especially on, like, hard mode of, like, I guess usually lead-in drums are generally what tends to be the most complicated, and that's pretty much what I get to play, like, now, and I've been having a blast. Like, it definitely increased my skill ceiling to kind of what I play, even if it still is a lot less complicated than the stuff I'm used to. It's still really fun, especially just because, like, it tends to feel like a group effort with, like, the music and playing one part of the song and stuff. I think it's awesome. I think it's a whole lot of fun. And Respawn Rumble is still great too. As I said, sometimes I kind of want to break from, like, Blitz and, like, the constant pressure to, like, either win or just to perform decently or just to play the mode. Respawn Rumble doesn't have that for me. Like, it feels like an arcade game to me. Like, it just feels like very low stress and just constant, like, eliminations and stuff, and I think that's awesome. I don't really care for the fact that it's, like, bot heavy, just because I'm more so after, like, the constant, like, pacing and stuff. Like, that's what's fun for me, not so much the thrill of, like, winning a good fight. Not that I don't get excitement from that, but sometimes I just don't need that to have fun, and when I don't need that to have fun, Respawn Rumble is incredible for me, just because, as I said, very casual, very low stakes, very just quick paced. I think that was awesome. I can very much understand why it's not popular, but I love it. So I think that's my thoughts overall, honestly, and I guess now I'll just move on to, like, my actual, like, concluding thoughts. So overall, I've been having a really, really good time with Fortnite. This is unexpectedly one of my favorite games I've played in a while. I did not think I would enjoy this much. I'm usually not much of, like, a shooter, like, FPS guy, like, and I don't think I would be, just because, generally speaking, a lot of those games just don't tend to really, like, be my thing. I think Fortnite just works so well because of the aesthetics of it, because of how silly the game feels, because of all the collabs, just because of how just overall unserious the game feels. I think that's what makes it work in specific for me, and also just what I think would make it work for so many players just in general, considering how big of a following Fortnite has. So I think that's really it overall. Have you been playing Fortnite? Like, if you played, let me know in the comments what you think of my thoughts. Feel free to start a discussion. As I always say, you're welcome to start any kind of talk about anything that interests you, and I think that's everything. But I will see you in the next upload, and thank you for tuning in. Bye-bye!